Welcome to another episode of the Hot Topic Podcast with your host, Patrick Liner.
Josh, how are you, man? It's good to see you over
Doing
there.
good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ready for some warmer weather. How about you guys over there?
Yeah, man. We had the ice storm last week, and I'm done with it.
Yeah.
So done with it. We still got stuff on the ground. I'm like, it's never going to melt.
Yeah, it's strange. And the sun going down early doesn't help either. It's just kind of like a double depressive,
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Now you're in the Pensacola area, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful part of the world, by the way.
It is. And, I've been seeing a lot of articles that we keep getting ranked like the number one beach in the U.S. now. And I'm just like, man, just stop writing those articles, send people to Panama City or something,
Yeah. Myrtle Beach, or let's get them back to where they need to go. Yeah. Totally.
We're full, man. And don't come here.
Yeah, man. Well, cool. I'm looking forward to this conversation, man. You and I have talked a couple different times, and every time I walk away from that conversation, I just get more excited about this particular podcast. So, for those of you that don't know, Josh is owner of Patriot Spray Liners, and I know I'm not giving you near enough credit for everything that you do. So I'm certainly gonna give you the platform and let you tell us about Patriot and how you guys got started, and maybe the direction you guys are going and what you see in the future.
Yeah. Well, you want me to run through it real quick?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've got a lot of experience, me and my father, both in the spray on bedliner industry since its inception. I'd say the early Linux days. That's kind of where I kind of cut my teeth in a bedliner shop. He opened a franchise when I was probably 10 or 11 years old. So we've always been around that. And then he moved into the distribution side. And, so I spent my summers not only in a bedliner shop, but on the road with him, selling franchises as a kid. We would travel around in an RV. So kind of always wanted to be in this industry. Didn't know if it was going to be sustainable or maybe new technology would replace it in the future. So it wasn't something I could really plan for a future in. So high school came, I was a lost kid, didn't know what I wanted to do, joined the military. That's what my family's background is anyway. So did a tour there, and then opportunity came in to kind of enter the urethane industry. Wasn't specifically bedliner. So I don't know if you knew this, the same equipment that sprays truck bedliner also sprays spray foam insulation.
Okay.
So
I did not know that.
Yeah. Same family of chemicals, same equipment. You just change a tip size, maybe some pressure and heat, and you're spraying foam. So anyway, kind of got put into the manufacturing side there and got a shot as a sales gig. So that's where I, kind of took off. We talked a little earlier about, that first commission check hit, and man, that the rest is history. So it's a great industry, but we had an opportunity to start our own. Didn't like the way the rest of the industry was going after being sold off and, private equity and publicly traded. So called my dad, who was retired, semi-retired, and said, hey, I've got an idea. We're going to do a brand for the people, so that's kind of what we did. So we launched Patriot Liner almost 5 years ago. So we wanted to change the way the industry's ran. No franchise agreement, no heavy contracts or anything like that. Just a simple licensing agreement that says, hey, you want to do business with us, we want to do business with you, let's go to war. So that's what we did. We have a killer product. We've got over 200 locations now in under 5 years. And then it really started to diversify. Like, you see, when you have these personal relationships with these small businesses, you take a care for their business, even if it's not related to your revenue. So if I call a dealer and he's like, man, yeah, we're spraying some liners, but we are slow, that it hurts me to hear, because it's not some big company that's got a big board and funding behind them. These are mom and pop shops that have to take care of their family. So we were having a big distributor meeting up in and I'll tell you about the distributors a little bit, but we make a decision as a group. So we have 7 master distributors. Patriot Liner itself does not sell direct to our dealers. So we have master distributors that cover each side of the country or each region of the country. And they also sit on our board. So it's not just me and my dad making decisions for this entire company. It's these regional distributors that all come in together. We meet together. It's sometimes a really ugly conversation. We fight, we scream, but we're like, hey, what's best for the customer here? So when the conversation came up about how do we support these guys more than just Bedliner, that's when Fleet Solutions came to mind. Um, as you see, the fleet industry is just growing and growing and growing every single year. So we said, all right, what's missing from the fleet side? And we came up with an idea of just streamlining the upfitting processes for the FMCs. So we hired the right team for that. We built a custom software for the FMCs and our dealers to use. So now an FMC can call us, say, hey, I've got 20 F-150s. They're all across the country. This is the upfit they need. Get me a quote. 24 hours, they have a quote. We already have the network of upfitters. So it's kind of a win-win. We don't make a lot on it, but our dealers, the small business guys, it's extra business that they didn't have to work for. So that's our whole goal, is how do we bring more value to the small business guys that maybe aren't educated enough to get the fleet business, or 2, are busy, don't really have time to go door knocking. And 3, expand their knowledge base into what I believe is the future of aftermarket upfitting, and that's fleet. So I know I jumped around a little bit there, but that's kind of where fleet came in. And then we've launched, rust defense for undercoating. We've got an auto tech division that you'll start to see more of, with co-branded service bodies and parts that, we feel are quality and want to offer exclusively at our shops and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Now it sounds like you've got it all pointed in the right direction for sure.
yeah, it's a big ship. Just hopefully no icebergs in front of us.
Well, there's always those looming icebergs that you got to be careful of. So how many distributors do you have in your network right now?
So distributors are, when I hear distributor, that's our master guys, right? So those are the guys that we sell a tractor trailer load of Patriot Liner to, and then they go out and resell. So we have West Coast, Central U.S., Midwest, Southeast, and Northeast. That's the territories is broken up to. Now, Patriot Liner dealers, because we don't want to call them franchises, we're trying to stay away from that word. Patriot Liner dealers, we're over 200.
Okay.
Yep. And we're adding, I'd say 4 to 5 a month at right now. So towards the end of last year, it kind of slowed down. I think everybody was kind of holding their breath to see if the economy was going to fall on its face or not. But from what I've understood, and I haven't read deep into it, the big, beautiful bill that this administration has passed is going to do really well for the fleet industry. So we have already started to see an uptick on people trying to either get into the liner business or get into the upfitting business in general. So,
oh, nice. Okay. Yeah. So do you feel like for your, I'm going to call them partners, your partners that are on the ground, boots on the ground, that are doing all the work, your liners, and now they've got an accessory business. Are these people that have had experience in the accessory and upfitting business, or is it a mixture of maybe some new players that really didn't know anything about the business, that have just kind of seen the opportunity?
So you got 50-50. You got guys that, I'm going to use a guy in Michigan, Mark Robinson. He started as a liner only company. Started in his parents' pole barn. I set his machine up probably, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. But now he's got a huge facility with a drive-through undercoating bay. He's spraying, 20 nap hide truck beds a day. He can install ladder racks and bumpers and hitches. And, so I think they all diversify when they see the writing on the wall. And what we did to kind of expose them to that is we started a private dealer group. So now you've got all of our applicators and business owners, all the way down from the sprayer to the owners of the company, all in one group. So they all troubleshoot together. They all share their pricing. Hey, this is the new Ford I got in. Heads up, their new tailgate sucks to take off, So there's a lot of communication going off. So you got a little bit of business envy from the smaller guys seeing the bigger guys, but that also motivates them, right? So how do I become like this guy? And nobody on our team is trying to beat our other dealers. We have protected territories for a reason. They're not competing. So everyone on our team has a unified goal: is how does Patriot win as a whole? So it's really caused a lot of accidental mentorship, I guess, within our network, and it's worked out really well. So you got, again, the guys that have been doing upfitting from the beginning: snow plows, service beds, ladder racks, whatever, vans. And then you got the guys that started out from nothing, no experience, and now you're getting this mold of both kind of in the middle stuff.
Yeah. So is a territory based on population? Is it based on miles?
So
radius?
Originally, you got to think we were only doing the liner stuff. So that's where our focus was. So when we tell everybody, you get your own market area, and I kind of analyze a market area based on population, but also based on dealership groups. So you go to Metro Atlanta and look at our map, our dealer map on our website. I think we got 7 or 8 guys around Atlanta, but it's Atlanta. They don't even touch. They don't see each other. Each little section of a metropolitan or even a town or city has a section of like a car city, right? Where the Ford, Chevy, Dodge is all on one street or whatever. To me, that's a market area, because 50-60% of our business on the liner side is wholesale for the car dealerships. So you're not only relying on, hey, Jim just bought a truck down the street, he needs a bedliner. You're going to the dealerships and spraying them, preloading the lots, striking a deal with the salespeople. There's even kickbacks, which I hate, but it exists. We're trying to get that dealership business as well. So
sure. Yeah. Which is super competitive, because now you've got dealership groups that are starting to absorb a lot of what you're offering into their portfolio.
Yeah.
And even absorbing existing small and mom and pop companies to be able to do that work for them.
Yeah, and we're seeing that a lot more. They're almost opening different named company, but they absorb that aftermarket side of the business, and then they sub their dealer work through their own aftermarket department. As far as setting car dealerships up to spray liners, the only issue that we've seen in the past, and why I don't chase that business, is employee turnover.
Yeah.
Employee turnover at the dealerships is a lot higher than I've seen in other industries. And the pay scales are much different at a car dealership, right? Where they're paid on a per job basis, where the bedliner side, if your machine goes down, your gun needs cleaning, something happens, they don't get paid, So a lot of those employees kind of get frustrated. They're like, well, wait a minute, I had to do machine maintenance. Now I lost money spraying this truck,
Right.
So we've seen a lot of car dealerships try and implement it, and some work, but a majority of them fail, and it's sad. And it has a lot to do with who's setting them up as well, because our industry is notorious for, I'll sell you a machine without any questions asked and set you up, and then they just kind of leave you hanging. There's no follow through to make sure that the dealers are successful. So I don't know, unfortunately, that's a plague in our industry, is how do I get the next machine sale? And that's just, I've turned down just as many dealers as we've brought on.
Wow.
Hey, this isn't going to work for you. I don't think the population exists in your town, and it's discouraging to a small business owner to hear that. But me as a manufacturer, supplier, I don't want the reputation of putting in failing shops. And it's not because of their work ethic or anything else. It's just, I don't think your town or your market can sustain, a $50,000 bedliner machine investment.
Right.
So,
yeah,
tough conversations to have, but necessary, I think, if you're going to keep the reputation of the industry alive.
Sure. Well, and you're by not doing that, you're setting a potential partner up to fail, and that's the last thing you want.
Right.
Because it just leaves a bad stigma for everybody involved.
Well, what if
So
the guy gets on Facebook? It's like, yeah, I tried Patriot Liner and it failed.
yeah,
You know, I don't want that reputation. If yeah, it's not worth the quick revenue. You got to play the
yeah,
long game here if your reputation is important to you.
yeah. And that social media thing is it's real, whether it's warranted or not. It's real
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so warranty claims, I think last year we sprayed, I did the math, about 97,000 pickup trucks in the US between our network, which is a pretty good number, just shy of 100,000. I was trying to weasel the math a little bit. It was like 97,000. Um, and I think we had 5, 6 warranty claims come across my desk. So every
Wow.
warranty claim comes to me just so I can investigate why, where, see if there's a pattern. But it's to the point where I'm very confident we've fixed other bedliners products, and the company or the customer was just like, hey, I'm pretty sure this is a Patriot Liner, it's chipped. And I just tell the customer or the dealer, like, hey, fix it. Doesn't matter if it's our product or not, because
Yeah.
one guy gets on social media and runs his mouth, it spreads like wildfire now.
Yeah.
So make the customer happy. He'll come back to you in the future. Doesn't matter if it's our product or not. Just fix it. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it, at that point, the warranty claim is, I mean, it's not devastating
no,
for, it's okay. Can we just fix it and move on? Let's do that.
right. And
Yeah.
we pay it corporately too. So it's a corporate backed warranty.
Oh, okay.
If it's sprayed to spec and the prep was done correctly and stuff, but you're talking an hour labor,
Yeah.
and $10, $15 in materials maybe. So I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Just fix this. Make them happy.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What, when you spray a liner, there's some bigger brands out there that, they have some marketing materials that signify what their liners are. Does Patriot offer something like that as well?
Clarify a little bit.
Like, yeah. Do you have anything inside that pickup bed that's going to be able to signify that it's a Patriot liner?
Yeah. So our dealers, we have we call them bed tags.
Okay.
So there's generic ones with just our logo, and then we've got custom bed tags for dealers that want to co-brand. So it'll say Patriot Liner and then their business name, city, and phone number. So I think
Gotcha.
personally, that's the best marketing you can do, is because I'm in the bedliner business, but every time I go to like Lowe's, I'm scoping out people's truck beds, and I want to see who sprayed it. I want to see the quality, what it looks like after years of abuse. I'm constantly doing personal market research on that. But,
Yeah.
that stuff, if your liner looks good, which ours do after years of abuse, I want people to know that. I want people to walk by it and say, oh, damn, that's a good looking liner. Or, oh, I need a liner. Where'd he get his sprayed? So,
Yeah.
it's definitely the best marketing tool our dealers can use as a bed tag.
Yeah. What's a Patriot liner warranty?
Lifetime as long as you own the vehicle.
Wow.
So chips, scratches, bubble, flaking, anything like that. We don't cover excessive abuse. So I use this example a lot because it does happen, but guys that go to Home Depot, Lowe's, and get a pallet of mulch, and that pallet has a hangnail on the bottom of it, and the forklift just drags it in or out, come on,
Yeah.
it's not bulletproof. It's not indestructible, but within reason, we're going to take care of the customer, because I don't even know what the current data is, but it used to be everybody was getting a new truck 2 to 3 years, right? So your customer rollover was pretty good. So I want to see that guy back in 2 or 3 years when he gets his new truck. So whatever you got to do to take care of them, take care of them. So we've never denied a warranty claim.
Yeah. And I would say that turnover is probably is still fairly accurate, is my guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
obviously
think the high interest rates might have slowed it a little bit?
on the retail side, yeah.
Yeah.
On the retail side, it did. Commercially, it slowed things, but let's be honest, as long as a business is still functioning as they were, let's say pre-COVID, during COVID, and today, that they still have to have trucks. And
Right.
if they're growing and they're adding, then yes. And especially with you pointed your needle in the direction of fleet management, because in fleet management, they're wanting their customers to get out of vehicles within 24 to 36 months, because that's the advantage of fleet management, is being able to um, preemptively cycle through vehicles rather than the old, and I say old, the old school mentality of drive it till the wheels fall off. That is the worst thing you can do for your fleet of vehicles. I don't care. At some point, when people say, I just drive it till the wheels fall off, and I ask them, so when did you pay it off? Oh, I paid it off 3 years ago.
Right.
So you haven't had a payment in 3 years. That's right. Okay. Well, talk to me about the engine. Well, I just replaced the engine like 6 months ago. So you don't consider that a payment? No, it was an engine. Okay, but had you traded 3 years ago, you wouldn't have had to replace the engine. And it's that whole mentality shift that we're having uh, to implore with these customers that still have that old school mentality of, it's a tool, pay it off, don't worry about a payment because interest is bad. Okay, to a certain degree, I understand what you're saying. However, if you've got a truck that's got 300,000 miles, you put 2 engines and 3 transmissions and 4 rear ends in it, does that really make sense?
Well, from the
And
business side, how do you depreciate that asset even more?
right,
You're losing out,
exactly,
interest or not, you're losing out on huge depreciation benefits on the
right,
tax side. So,
right.
yeah,
And that's where fleet management comes in to explain that process. Well,
right,
obviously, you guys lining up with fleet management, you're going to get that opportunity to spray that same customer, a new truck every 24 to 36 months.
right.
So, yeah, it just makes sense.
Yeah. And a lot of people, when we did launch the fleet management thing, they were a little confused because we make our money on spray and bedliners.
Sure.
We're a chemical supplier. That's our core business. And so when we announced the fleet solutions department, people are like, well, how is this going to increase, your fleet or your spray on bedliner sales? I was like, it's not. I'd say 80% of the stuff we do through the FMCs doesn't even include spray on products. So
Wow.
yeah. So a ton of van upfits, like I was talking to you earlier, laptop stands, geotags, service body installs. We don't make any money on that stuff,
Yeah.
but we're also filling the gap or pushing that extra business to our network, right? So again, every meeting we have with our board is how do we bring more value to these small businesses? How do we elevate our guys to see the writing on the wall and the way this industry's headed? Um, so it's a long game play, but it doesn't cost our dealers any extra to be a part of our fleet program either. So, I mean, just the software we built, we were pushing 6 figures, and that's just an investment we made. Um, to differentiate ourselves from the rest of the industry. So now and I'm very new to the fleet industry itself. From what I understood, a lot of the FMC's legwork is status reporting.
Mm.
So where's this vehicle? Has it been started on? Is it done? Give me an update, give me an update, give me an update. And the shops that I kind of talked to before we fully launched this said it was very annoying to the point where they didn't really want to do fleet business because 3 times a day, the FMC was calling, where's this vehicle at?
Yeah.
So when we hired our VP, we said, hey, what's the one thing that would just streamline this whole industry? And he said, we got to build this custom software. And we did. So now we have this portal that our FMCs have access to, we have access to, and our customers have access to, the upfitter. Vehicle, once the quote, we send the quote out, is approved, VIN numbers put into our software. That software will track when the vehicle arrives. Our customer, our upfitter, takes pictures of the vehicle upon arrival. He will log when the parts have been ordered, when the parts have been arrived, when the work has started, and when the work is completed with complete pictures. Now, the FMC at any point can get into our software by VIN number and see what the status of that vehicle is. No more picking up the phone and slowing these small businesses down and wearing out the FMC call center. It's all right here in this software. And all the payments, the FMCs don't have to pay 20 upfitters across the country for one contract. we handle it all. We pay our upfitter, then we collect from the FMC. So I don't want to say it's a little threatening to some of the FMC as far as their employees go, but we've really cut a lot of that busy work out of the scenario. So
yeah, that's that's always a big, because it doesn't matter what your installer tells me as a commercial truck salesperson. An overwhelming majority of those truck guys, if you told me, hey, Patrick, that this truck's gonna be ready in 3 weeks. Okay, great. I log it as, hey, it's gonna be ready in 3 weeks. But if my customer calls me in a week and says, hey, is my truck ready? I owe him an obligation to call you.
Right.
Hey, Josh. And you're like, Patrick, you remember we talked about this?
Right.
It's going to be ready on this date. I know, Josh. Is there any way that we can get it done faster? My guy,
Right.
this, my guy, that. You're going to oblige me by saying, let me see if I can move some stuff around because of our relationship. Let me see if I can move some stuff around. Deep down, you probably don't have any room to move anything. Now,
Right.
maybe you do. Maybe you throw me a solid. It's like, hey, man, I'm going to knock it out. You know what? Let me get it done today. And then what happens is now that becomes the new standard. All I have to do is call Josh and go, hey, Josh, man, I got a hot one here. I got a hot one here. I got a hot one here, right? How many times you heard that?
Right.
It's like I got, this guy, he just, his guy got in a wreck. He's without a truck. He's on a rental. He's wearing me out. Can you help me? And I think the portal is great. I do. Not only for FMCs, but even if you're working, with truck people at dealership levels, they're going to be able to go to that portal if they remember. And it's the education of it all, right? Just continue to educate them. It's like, if you continue to pick up the phone and answer the questions, they'll never go to the portal. It's like, hey, go to the portal, go to the portal, go to the portal, go to the portal. And if they get used to that, the problem is that a lot of truck salespeople don't have processes in place.
Correct.
That's what it all boils down
Well,
to.
a lot of the small business guys don't either.
Correct.
A lot of
It's
my
all
customers are still pen and paper invoices and,
It's a lot of phone calls, and that's what they've been used to. And this is, again, it's, and I don't want to call it AI, but in reality, AI is going to fix a lot of these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be able to, with virtual assistants and things like that, it's going to help streamline businesses.
Yeah.
So as much as everybody wants to be resistant to AI, the more that you can understand and get on board with it, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah. I use it every day.
Yeah.
How often do you use it every day?
Every day. Every day.
Yeah. It's almost replacing Google for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't Google anything anymore. I just go to chat.
Yeah. And
hey, chat, what's this?
Right. I was having a boys chat. I've got some guys I've been friends with since high school in a group chat. And my buddy Graham was talking about needing some new running shoes, and ChatGPT said, hey, what's your height? What's your weight? What's your budget? What do you look for? And I just plug all that in and it's like, bam, this is the shoe you want. You can catch it on clearance for this much.
Yeah.
And it's so wild. It takes a lot of that thought process out, which is scary. There goes your critical thinking skills. But yeah, it's incredible. It really is. A little terrifying for what the future holds and how fast. And we joke about, I'm so impressed with, do you have ChatGPT Premium or something?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I pay for. And what's scary though is if this is what we have access to and how fast it's gotten smart, what's the government have? What do they have access to? So
a lot more than we do. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, it's you're absolutely right in saying that what we have is just a small sampling of what's really out there.
Right.
And then what it does for me personally, I go back and start looking at movies that came out 20 years ago and going, that's what they were trying to tell us. Oh, you're right. And and what they do, they hide it behind some really good actors, a really good story, maybe some animation. It may be things beyond animation. But then you start to peel the layers of that onion back It's like iRobot. When you watch that, it's like, oh wow,
That's
man, our
exactly what
work.
I was thinking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second. The Chinese is employing these humanoids to do medical surgeries. It's like, wow, okay, we're
Right.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've been there for a while, to be honest
Well,
with you.
did you see last week? I believe it was last week. Tesla announced they're going to discontinue the Model X and Model S SUVs, the SUV and the big sedan they have,
Right.
to focus on the Tesla bot production.
Oh, I did not
So
know that.
yeah, it's ramping up and it's coming quick. And personally, I've done my research on the Tesla bot. I think it's gonna be a game changer, especially if he comes in at the price point of $40,000, which I think is obtainable for a lot
Yeah.
of people.
Yeah.
It's coming really fast. These things are going to be walking around before we know it.
Yeah.
And BMW, for example, they've had a robot working. I think it worked like 700 hours straight without a freaking break in one of their plants.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And it's terrifying for what it's going to do to blue collar workers and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's coming whether we want it or not.
I think we've already felt the effect of the tip of what AI has done with all these massive layoffs that they've had recently. UPS and FedEx and
yeah,
things like
I've been
that.
reading a lot of those articles, especially on LinkedIn. Dow Chemical announced some layoffs and stuff, and they attribute it to AI. But is it really? Or I don't know. Are we there yet to where the massive layoffs can really be attributed to AI? I don't know.
UPS said they laid off, I think it was 30,000. 30,000. Now that's probably a global number.
Yeah.
But they attribute it to AI. I'm like, 30,000 people, really? I mean, AI took the jobs of 30,000 people this quickly.
Right.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
Now
what I do know about those big companies, though, because I've worked for some of them, there's a lot of fluff.
What?
And I'm not discrediting people,
Right.
but there's a lot of people whose entire role is, how do I justify my job instead of actually doing a job? So maybe AI is exposing that.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we could probably cut this department because we really don't need them. You know? So
look, I worked for a defense contractor.
Yeah. Oh God.
So
fluff.
Oh my gosh. Look, every day it was like, what does he do again? It's like, I don't ever see him do anything. And it was not just one person, it was multitudes of people. It's like
teams.
And you're right.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's people that are just trying to justify their existence. They could be gone for hours. You'd never know it because you don't feel the effects of it. So yeah. That's funny. Some things, but yeah, you're right. These large companies have probably made these massive layoffs, and then all of a sudden they've attributed it to AI. But like to your point, was 50% of it fluff that needed to go, months or years ago, that they now just all grouped it up and said, okay, we can hide behind AI at this point now. So
maybe most of it was like DEI departments.
It could be. Yeah. 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 You just never know at that point. Let's talk about, I know you and I briefly touched on, how do we get our youth into our industry? And you had said something about your distributors, although they're lined up and they're ready to take on more territories or maybe expand business, the toughest part is getting the youth that are willing to, or even understand what we do, to be able to step into our industry. How do you think we fix that?
Well, do you think maybe are we going to see a surge in blue collar from the AI layoffs?
Possibly.
I mean, is that going to fix some of our, hands-on, needs as far as, bodies? I mean, the reality is there's just not enough people that want to work. So maybe this AI thing forces a lot of hand there, but I do think our industry struggles, whether it's the polyurea bedliner industry or the fleet industry, with people entering that space.
Right.
But I think you had a great idea, and I don't even know if that was on this recorded part or not, but the NTEA show, I think, from what I've seen, I've done it a few years now, is the Super Bowl of the fleet industry.
Yes.
And how do we get these kids in there to see what the opportunities are? Because it's not just, yeah, come learn about the fleet industry. It'll open their eyes to, hey, maybe you want to do 12 volt, or maybe you want to do, service beds, or, I mean, there's so many different opportunities within the fleet industry that, it could really open up their eyes, where maybe he wanted to be a car audio installer, and now he sees that the writing on the wall is, I'm going to do 12-volt lighting instead,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a great question, and I'd be willing, if somebody did put something together as far as not an internship, but an eye-opening experience for these kids, because a lot of kids are lost. They don't want to go to college.
Right.
If their parents don't have the money for it, they got to
Right.
figure out their path forward. If we could help, lay that path down, I'm in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's like we talked about. And I appreciate you bringing that up. I've always felt like, much like you, when I was 30, I was one of the youngest guys when I jumped in the industry. And to be honest with you, even at age 50, when I hit 50, I was still one of the youngest truck salespeople out there. I had guys that had 10, 15, 20, 25 years on me when I turned 50. And there wasn't very many people behind me willing to come in. And
right,
so they refer to it as the blue tsunami, in that a lot of small businesses are just going to go away because there's no one to pick up the family business. Kids have gone off and they are into different careers, and good for them. They don't want to come back and pick up dad's business that may have been handed down from his grandfather. Who knows?
right,
But it affects our industry as well, because you've got these smaller companies that are doing, whether they're doing accessory install or upfitting or things like that. The business just goes away because no one's willing to step up and take it. But if we had this influx on a yearly basis, and I'm not it's not, my thought was just bringing in a certain number of young people that, to your point, that may not want to go to college, but they're, maybe they did think their career path was to do a certain thing, but now AI is going to take that over and they're lost. Bring them into NTA and just expose them to what's out there, because then they can see it. Then they can understand when they see a bare chassis that
right,
typically is hidden at the back of a lot somewhere where you can't see it. So nobody understands. It's like, why doesn't that truck have a bed on it? Well, it's because it was built at the factory that way, so you can fully customize it the way you want. And it blows people's minds at any level when they hear that. They're like, I thought everything got built at the factory.
right.
No, not at
Yeah.
all. There's so much that goes on after the fact in aftermarket, these smaller companies, bigger companies that are doing all these accessories and upfitting and things like that nobody really understands. They see a white work truck going down the road. Nobody ever stops to think, how did that get put together?
Or
And
how
yes,
many
bringing
hours
in
into that, or
exactly,
how much money was available to upfit that, these,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
And the opportunities, there's so many opportunities out there that can be had. And yeah, I think if we were able to bring in some youth into NTA and to Work Truck Week, even if it was just one day, you brought in, almost like a field trip.
it should be
Uh,
Friday because the show is notoriously pretty slow on Fridays. So,
yes,
yeah,
very much so.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. I would
but
argue that you would probably want to bring it in on Tuesday,
yeah,
right? Bring them in on Tuesday, and that way, because the show really gets started on Wednesday. Wednesday is the big day, right?
yeah,
So bring them in on Tuesday. Let them sit in on some of these conferences that are going on, the educational type stuff. Let them hear the lingo. It's going to sound like gibberish to them. It's going to sound like a different language. But then when they're able to go out on the floor and be able to take that information and put it to action, how those things really come together, I think it opens a lot of kids' eyes, and I think it allows them the opportunity to ask questions
right.
like, how do I do this? What do I do? What's available? That's the question I get from a lot of kids is
Have
they
you
don't know
done
what's
any?
available.
Have you done any research? Because I know that, you know, initially my thought is it'd have to be like a tech school, right? Somebody that's in,
Yeah,
body shop or something like that, which
yeah,
unfortunately a lot of those programs have been phased out of the public school system, which is
yeah,
asinine to me. But
yeah.
is there is there a national tech school? Maybe they're the ones that write the agendas, the programs, the path for these tech schools, and then
I don't know.
Yeah,
I really don't know the answer to that question.
because then you're going to run into is how do we get so many different school boards on board? And
Right.
that's a nightmare. But if you
Well,
write it to a national scale,
yeah. And I think what that's going to have to take is it's going to have to be some sort of advisory board that's put together. And honestly, it's going to take companies like Patriot and some bigger companies that are going to be willing to fund this thing
yeah,
to be able to make it happen. Because schools aren't going to apply those funds to something that they don't feel is tangible
yeah,
for what can help their programs, right? But if and I'm going to throw some big names out there: Napide, Reading, Autocrane, Ramsey. I mean, you name it. There's a multitude of companies out there. If we can get enough buy-in to where they'd be willing to fund something like that and sponsor something like that to bring these kids in to a work truck week for a couple of days, it's not going to be cheap, but I think it's essential for our industry's survival is
yeah.
to
They're
bring
all
these kids
dealing
in.
with the same problems,
Yes, they are.
staffing, and you
Absolutely.
without that, quality staffing, you can't scale.
No,
So, I mean,
no.
there's a reason some of these. I hear the lead times on some of these products out here, and it is ridiculous.
Yes. Oh,
And
yeah.
if you're going to keep up with, I don't see this industry slowing anytime soon.
No.
Work trucks are a thing of the future to me.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to scale, or
Yeah.
what I've seen working for the big companies, when these big companies drop the ball on lead times or quality, and that's when more competition starts firing up in the background, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yep. So somebody's going to see that and say, "Man, it's 20 weeks for a service bed. I'm just
Yeah.
going to start my own service bed company."
Yes.
And then the market gets flooded with,
Yes.
so it's kind of a, you better fund it and get behind the staffing idea, or you're going to have a ton more competition. So
Yeah. And what a lot of companies do, you can take someone like Terex or even Alltech, call them and try to get, you know, lead time on a bucket truck, and they're telling you 18 to 24 months.
yeah,
A smaller company like VersaLift steps in and says, "Hey, I can get it to you in 12 months." Well, that still really doesn't fix the major problem, because now we're asking our customers to be able to forecast 2 to 3 years out. And that's
right,
difficult. It's very difficult, right? Here's the other thing, too. Dealerships are stocking less inventory today than they did pre COVID,
right,
because now COVID has taught the consumer that you're going to have to wait for what it is that you want. Whereas we had gotten into so much of a microwave society that if you didn't have 30, 40, $50 million worth of upfitted inventory sitting on the ground, work ready to go, that you were going to miss out on business. Well, now that everybody's scaled back and those numbers are, again, there's dealerships out there that are still doing the big numbers. That's
oh yeah,
how they get there. But a lot of this, I don't want to say smaller dealers, but some dealers have just scaled back. And when they started to pull back, they started to really push on fleet management.